Part 8. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 71. Chapter 71. Do you want to? Director How, you. Fan Jianxi is not a fool either. I immediately understood what was happening. No wonder Director How had a relative coming every day these past 2 days. And the way he looks at himself is particularly unkind. Everyone said that Director How's relative was going through work procedures. To put it bluntly, they have to be transferred from other factories to their supply and marketing cooperative. Everyone knows that supply and marketing cooperatives are profitable. Nowadays, everyone who buys something doesn't have to rely on connections in the supply and marketing cooperative. Director How may have some bad intentions and wants to move him into a nest for his relatives. This is a trap deliberately set for myself. Fan Jianxi's face turned green. He turned around and walked out of the yard of the supply and marketing cooperative, bumping into Zhang Xiaoxiao. Ouch, uncle. Zhang Xiaoxiao actually heard it from beginning to end. She knew in her heart that this was specifically to squeeze her uncle. It seems that Director How is not a good person. If Director How is really allowed to become the director, my uncle may not have a good life. Fan Jianxi saw that she was his niece and tried hard to suppress his anger. Forcing yourself to smile. Xiaoxiao, why are you here? Zhang Xiaoxiao took Fan Jianxi and left. Let's go, uncle, go find your driver. Let's go get the green onions together. Instructions in a low voice. Fan Jianxi took a look at the people in the room. You have already agreed, is it really 10,000 jins? I feel very happy, after all, who wants to be squeezed out by others? Fan Jianxi also has a temper if he neglects his good work and is bullied. Uncle, let's go, you'll find out if you go and have a look. Director How walked out and said, Fan Jianxi, don't forget what I said. The leaders above will come to inspect at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If the 10,000 kilograms of green onions are not delivered to the supply and marketing cooperative by then, don't blame me. I didn't tell you in advance. Leading leisurely with hands behind his back. Fan Jianxi spit on the ground. It's like eating melon seeds to bring out a bug. How can such a villain be allowed to succeed? My uncle has been really unlucky for 8 lifetimes. Xiao Wu and Xiao Wang, who were in the room, also came out. A look of despair. Today it's Fan Jianxi, and they will be there tomorrow. It's just a matter of 1 day earlier and 1 day later. It's not like they can't see it. Brother Fan, forget it. Just bear with it, anyone who asks me to do so will immediately become a leader. What should I do if I can't bear it? They are all minions. Your green onions are fine, but you don't know, what will Xiao Wang and I do with the potatoes and cabbage? The two of us have already broken the legs of the surrounding villages, but others have already taken advantage of us. The most we have been able to contact so far is only 2,000 kilograms. It's still far from the tasks assigned by our director. Tomorrow is the 3rd day. If the two of us fail to hand in the task, I'm afraid we will have to pack up and get out immediately. Poor, my wife is about to give birth to a baby and has 2 mouths waiting for food. Xiao Wu was also angry, mainly because the task was too urgent. In addition, everyone is busy purchasing during the season, and they are not the only supply and marketing cooperative that needs a large amount of winter vegetables. Other supply and marketing cooperatives are also undertaking this task. Who is rushing to cut off the who? That's right. I still don't know where my cabbage is. The farmers in the village said that even if they want to cut down the cabbage, it will take time. They can't get so much in 3 days. I finally figured it out, Director How, even before he takes over, he is already making things difficult for us. If he really becomes the director, I think all of us will have to get out. Why do you think such a good person like Director Song was transferred away? Besides, how can a villain like Director How be allowed to succeed? Let me tell you, Xiao Fan, You are more suitable to be the director than he is to be the director. I have been holding a teacup and a newspaper all day long. Just like a wealthy landlord, he knows how to tell us to do our work all day long. It would be unlucky for a person like this to really become a director. Xiao Wang is so angry. Zhang Xiaoxiao felt something in his heart. Yes. It's not like my uncle can't be the director. After all, with my uncle's qualifications, he has been working in the supply and marketing cooperative for almost 10 years. Although he didn't have any big achievements, he didn't do anything out of the ordinary. That director Hao didn't say that the leader would come to check in the afternoon. In that case, let's let my uncle behave well. Okay, don't say anything. Go back quickly. The director will hear it later. He must be gossiping about him. What good fruit can we get? If you don't go back, go out for a run. Otherwise it would be impossible for those potatoes and cabbage to come to our supply and marketing cooperative on their own. Fan Jianxi hurriedly drove people away. Took the niece and left. These words can be their idle chatter. There is no need to teach children bad things. If Zhang Xiaoxiao went back and spilled the beans, his parents would still be here. It's weird if you don't worry about it breaking. I went out to find the driver who was pulling the goods. When he heard about it, he was ready to pull the green onions. He blinked in confusion. So fast? I didn't hear that it takes 3 days. But Fan Jianxi's job is procurement, and they, who are engaged in transportation, have certain command rights, as long as they are not doing private work. The big truck sets off. Arrived at Jiang's house. Fan Jiuying has just arrived home. Standing in the yard, I felt a little confused. The green onions in this yard are piled up like a hill. I probably guessed in my heart that it was the eldest brother that the girl mentioned, and he brought the green onions. But shouldn't it be sent to the supply and marketing cooperative? Why is it placed in her yard? Haven't waited to say anything. Fan Jianxi and the others have arrived. Fan Jianxi and the driver spent a long time loading all the green onions into the car. By the way, they also saw the 2,000 kilograms of cabbage. This freshwater spirit. At first glance, it looks like it has just been picked from the ground. Smiling so brightly. Hey, Xiao Xiao. You even got Chinese cabbage. Oh my god, the Chinese cabbage is out of season this season, but you can still get so many juicy Chinese cabbages. Oh my god, you are such a great farmer. I really have to thank him. This time not only did he help me complete the task, but he also exceeded the task limit. When I go back in the afternoon, I want to see what Director Hao has to say. Fan Jianxi is in high spirits. Happily proud. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and said, Uncle, you have no idea about the position of director. Although no one can be sure of what will happen in the future, after all, this formal job will be useless in the future. But who makes this job still a good job now? 70 years ago, this kind of job was a guaranteed job. Until the late 1980s, various bankruptcies and reorganizations occurred. To ask my uncle to resign now is tantamount to being said to be mentally ill. But it's okay if my uncle can walk a little better than he did in his previous life. At least it's better now than later. The director of a supply and marketing cooperative is more prestigious than the procurement officer of the supply and marketing cooperative. The benefit is that the salary is high, and when you retire, you will be a cotter. Different. Zhang Xiaoxiao sees things differently in the future than now, but she doesn't have the ability to change everyone's fate in one fell swoop. Now we can only take one step at a time. When Fan Jianxi heard this, You. What nonsense are you talking about, little girl? That's the director, what can I do? I don't have that intention. This is not what I said sincerely. Zhang Xiaoxiao glanced at the driver. It became clear instantly. Uncle, come on then. Pull someone away. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 72. Chapter 72. The potatoes are coming. Uncle, I have a message for you. If you have that intention, work hard. There is also the farmer brother I know. They say there are still potatoes and cabbage, but it will be tomorrow. Think about it for yourself. I guess there should be some. Tens of thousands of pounds. Zhang Xiaoxiao made it clear. The rest is matters at my uncle's house. I can't help my uncle do this. Fan Jianxi was stunned by Zhang Xiaoxiao's words. What is that? There are also potatoes and cabbage, and there are tens of thousands of caddies. This kind of good thing. Ouch. Fan Jianxi felt his heart moved. Xiao Xiao, can you really get so many? The look of helpless eyes is particularly pitiful. Think about it, Fan Jianxi is actually cheerful and carefree. To put it bluntly, I don't have any thoughts about power or anything like that, I just want to live my life waiting for death. In this era, many people who have a latte rice bowl actually think the same way. But what my niece meant just now, if I can really solve these problems this time, I can help everyone solve them. Make a big appearance in front of the superior leaders in the afternoon, maybe you will be ranked in front of the leaders. Is it possible that he will also strive for the director position? Fan Jianxi felt excited. A man who has no ambition is still a man? Men often have ambitions in their hearts, but this flame is always suppressed. Now suddenly someone poured a ladle of oil on it, and the fire immediately started burning. Little uncle, I'm telling you anyway. What you want to do is your business. There's only so much I can help you with. That farmer brother and many people in his village are farmers. I can't help you. I guess I can talk to them about this matter. After all, I have done business with them several times. Look at how sincere this person is. He even confiscated the money for the green onions and sent the green onions directly to our house. That doesn't mean he trusts me. Zhang Xiaoxiao must become a middleman. Otherwise, where can he get such a big brother back? Fan Jianxi slapped his thigh and said, that's okay, uncle understands. You tell the farmer that he won't miss a penny from the purchase price. By the way, uncle also wants to ask you a favor. Please make another trip the supply and marketing cooperative called both Xiao Wang and Xiao Wu. Let them come to our house for lunch. We must unite now to see how we can show up in front of the leaders in the afternoon. The relationship between Xiao Wang and Xiao Wu was extraordinary. Xiao Wu and he retired from the army together and could be considered comrades in arms. Xiao Wang is the wife of his comrade in arms, so they are all related. Otherwise their relationship wouldn't be so good. Everyone in the family helps each other with everything. Okay. When Zhang Xiaoxiao heard this, he agreed happily. Anything that can change her family is a good thing for her. Zhang Xiaoxiao went straight to the supply and marketing cooperative and called Xiao Wu and Xiao Wang to their home. Originally, Xiao Wu and Xiao Wang had to go home for lunch. Once I heard that Fan Jianxi had something to do with them, I thought they were going to discuss how to solve this task together, so they came over without thinking much about it. Here, Fan Jianxi asked his sister to cook a delicious meal for lunch. They can't afford big fish or meat at home, but they just fry peanuts and stir-fry a plate of ready-made cabbage. Plus, the buns Xiao Xiao made yesterday are delicious. As long as it's served hot, it's satisfying. After all, those buns are meat-stuffed buns, so they are delicious. No one has the ability to eat meat every month in the past 2 years. Xiao Wu and Xiao Wang saw the big truck of green onions at the door, and their eyes turned green. It's so sad for both of us. Fan Jianxi is still capable. It took only 2 days to actually get these 10,000 kilograms of green onions. And look at the pak choi piled there are actually several thousand kilograms of pak choi. This task was not only completed, but also exceeded the target, and my bonus was saved. Think about their potatoes and cabbage again. I don't know where they are floating. The two of them felt sad. You must know that although the monthly bonus is not much, only 5 yuan, it is a lot of money for them. Sometimes, for a whole family, these 5 yuan can solve big problems. The two men entered the yard and saw that the yard had been tidied up. Even though the yard smells of green onions. But at this moment, there is a dining table under the date tree. The table is already full of food, especially the steamed buns. The fragrance is astounding to your nostrils. Sniffing, I couldn't help but sigh that it was great that Fanji and she had a sister. Come on, come in, and eat, I'm waiting for you too. Fanji and she asked people to sit down. Zhang Xiaoxiao went outside. Call the driver in too. There cannot be too many people to eat. She can't control the rest. She went back to the house to see what kind of virtue she had in her own space. Mainly I want to know if I can harvest the last crop at 7 or 8 p.m. If you can harvest the potatoes planted in your field at 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, you can harvest the cabbage tomorrow morning. According to the current situation, the output of my 2 plots of land should be good. When I entered the space and took a look, oh my god. These potatoes are green and grow very luxuriantly. Looking at it, it actually feels greener and lusher than the green onions I planted yesterday. But she is not a professional farmer. The potatoes are not ripe yet, so you can only dig them out and check. It's not an old-fashioned cropping method, it's not at that level. Dig it out and take a look. Yohi! Amazing! One potato plant was dug out and it brought out more than a dozen potatoes as big as a bowl. This bowl is different from the delicate porcelain bowls that people used to eat in the past. The bowls people use today are all large coarse porcelain bowls. Rugged, strong, and durable, and most importantly, large in quantity. This bowl can fit 1.5 pounds of noodles. In the past, people would hold a large porcelain bowl, fill it with rice, and squat at the door of their homes to eat. Whose family doesn't do this all the time? Whose family still has plates and bowls arranged like this? Unless entertaining guests, generally speaking, family members eat together. It's also a 1-bowl meal per person. So you can imagine how big this potato is. Zhang Xiaoxiao was happy. Uncle and the others have been busy for a long time. It should be around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What you sow at 6 in the morning can be harvested now. It seems that I am still wrong in estimating time in space. It doesn't matter if he is wrong, let's collect the potatoes now. As soon as I thought about it, all the potatoes from the 2 fields were immediately put into the warehouse. Looking at it like this, Zhang Xiaoxiao was happy. No more, no less, 10,000 jins. But after some estimation, the 2 pieces of land add up to 1.5 acres. The biggest advantage of your own space is that you don't need to apply fertilizer, but the harvested things will grow stronger than if you apply fertilizer. So it is normal for the yield of potatoes to be 5,000 to 8,000 kilograms per mu. Plus the 2 plots of land, I estimate that my land is a high-yielding land. So it's exactly 10,000 jins. Without saying a word, Zhang Xiaoxiao hurriedly planted cabbage. If the cabbage is harvested in the middle of the night, it will be almost 10,000 caddies. This completes the task. Fan Jianxi and Xiao Wu and Xiao Wang were dizzy after drinking. The main thing was that as soon as he told the 2 people that he could help them solve the potato and cabbage matter, the 2 people immediately became energetic. People are in high spirits during happy events, so the 4 of them drank too much while talking to each other. The 3 of them drank too much and were lying in the room. Fan Jiuying and the old lady and the old man were also resting in the house. Zhang Xiaoxiao was tossing potatoes again in the yard. The yard is full of potatoes. I feel bad that my mother will have to clean up the yard again soon. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 73. Chapter 73. My brother-in-law is ready. Fan Jianxi actually didn't drink much, but Xiao Wu and Xiao Wang were both a little drunk. I couldn't say that I wasn't drunk, so I pretended to rest for a while. After all, he was still thinking about the leader's arrival in the afternoon. Director Hao is so bold that he won't transport these green onions before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He would have to walk around without being able to eat. He called the driver up, and the driver actually had a drink. There is no such thing as drunk driving at this time. 2 people left. They left early and didn't see Zhang Xiaoxiao come out later. There is a whole yard of potatoes. Fan Jianxi rushed back to the supply and marketing cooperative. Arrived at the back office. As soon as I opened the door and went in, I saw a room full of leaders. 2 superior leaders came, and the rest were other deputies from the supply and marketing cooperative. These 2 leaders came from the city to inspect the situation of the supply and marketing cooperative. Director Hao was showing off in front of the leader with a shabby look on his face. Director Yang, our supply and marketing cooperative is actively working hard to coordinate and deploy various winter vegetables, and we will definitely ensure the supply of residents. However, some of us are not interested in working with iron rice bowls. As their leader, I will definitely work hard to complete the task. Tasks assigned by superior leaders. This statement is suspected of being a blackmail. Deputy Director Hao, you have a good attitude towards work. You have to work hard and work hard. To tell you the truth, the position of director of your supply and marketing cooperative. The superior leadership has decided to promote one of you. Of course, the conditions for this promotion are that you must be capable and be welcomed by the masses. This time we hope that we will not engage in bureaucracy. In addition to your usual work performance, of course it also depends on the support of the masses. Director Yang really wanted to do a good job. Although he looked at Director Hao in front of him a little bit flattering, he said these words and did these things. It seems that he is really serving the people sincerely. From this point of view, any small personal flaws can be ignored. Fan Jianxi came in at this moment. As soon as he came in, everyone's eyes fell on him. It was difficult not to fall on him. He was the only one coming in from the outside, and there was so much movement. Director Hao felt happy. Just right. Here comes someone who can set him off. His face was stern. Fan Jianxi, why are you here so late? What time is it? Why are you always late for work? There is also the task I gave you. Isn't it to put the 10,000 kilograms of green onions in place before 3 o'clock in the afternoon? What time is it? Don't you know we will be selling green onions the day after tomorrow? Director Yang looked at Fan Jianxi and frowned. In this way, the person in front of me is very irresponsible at work. Little comrade, why are you late? But he is not the kind of person who only listens to one side of the story without giving the other party a chance to explain. Fan Jianxi wiped the sweat from his head. Director Hao, Director Yang, it's my fault for this. Director Hao asked me to implement the green onion task. I didn't go to the fields. I just came back from work, so I didn't pay attention to the time. If you deduct my salary, I have nothing to say. Hearing this, Director Yang felt a little relieved. It would be understandable if someone was busy with work and missed the time to come back. After all, who is busy outside and can get back on time? That's true. You who are doing purchasing are busy outside. Sometimes it is impossible to be punctual at this time. Director Yang himself has come step by step from procurement to today, so he can naturally understand the hardships involved. Director Hao's eyes twitched when he heard this. It seems that Director Yang actually appreciates Fan Jianxi. This is not possible. If Fan Jianxi registers with Director Yang, it will be very detrimental to him. Xiao Fan, since you are so busy that you have come back at this time, you must have completed the task. Have the 10,000 kilograms of green onions been shipped back? If not, you remember what I said. The task of green onions has not been completed. Not only do you not get your bonus this month, but you are no longer suitable for this position. There are a lot of leaders here. Director Hao, this is a reasonable and legal punishment. Fan Jianxi looked embarrassed. Deputy Director Hao, you just informed me at noon yesterday. I have to complete the task today. It only takes 1 day to put it all together. You can't give me a little more time. Even if you contact the farmers to harvest, it will take time to collect it from the fields. Okay, let's load it up and bring it over. Time is too tight. Director Hao knew that Fan Jianxi would do this. How is this going? Director Yang asked. Director Hao has already prepared. He explained with a smile, Director Yang must be a little pressed for time. But in 2 days it will be the 15th anniversary of the founding of the steel plant. Our supply and marketing cooperative is specifically targeted at these workers and their families near the steel plant. There are 20,000 workers. Including their families, there are probably nearly 100,000 people around. We are actively working hard to add to the factory's celebration. The excuse has been thought of for a long time. Director Yang was right when he heard it. It was a good thing to encourage the workers in the factory. Can't help but look a little better. You are right. If it is the 15th anniversary of the steel factory, the supply and marketing cooperative should indeed hold some celebration activities for the majority of employees. Your approach is worthy of praise. It seems that you really use my heart. We have worked this matter. Director Hao was happy because he wanted Director Yang's words. Director Yang, what are you talking about? I also serve the people. I think about what the people think and worry about their concerns. This is nothing at all. It is what I should do. Look at Fan Jianxi and wait to get out. Director Yang asked again, but although you think about the people's thoughts and are anxious about the people's urgent needs, you are indeed a little tight on time. Some comrades below are in trouble. Have you made any follow-up preparations? What if this young comrade fails to complete the task? Then how do you sell this batch of green onions? Have you contacted the new supplier? This is what Director Yang is concerned about. Director Hao said proudly, Director Yang, don't worry, I have already made follow-up preparations for this matter. Xiao Fan is a careless person and is not careful at all. I am afraid that he will not take this matter seriously, so others were contacted in advance. It's already been said. It should be delivered to your door now. Let me tell you that the person delivering the goods is my brother-in-law, even though he is a relative of mine. But there is absolutely no favoritism. These green onions are of high quality and quantity. It can be regarded as the best variety in the surrounding villages, and the price is based on our purchase price. 10,000 jins is indeed a bit nervous, but we have already raised 5,000 jins from the surroundings and sent them over. The remaining 5,000 kilograms will probably be delivered tomorrow afternoon. Director Hao is smart, and his brother-in-law wants to join the supply and marketing cooperative. It's just that the road has been paved in advance. As early as a week ago, my brother-in-law had already contacted the local farmers to get these onions. It was loaded into the car last night and it was said to be delivered today. In fact, to put it bluntly, we must first give Fan Jianxi a decisive blow and make Fan Jianxi a reality. My brother-in-law is here. By the way, I showed my merit in front of the leaders and joined the supply and marketing cooperative with good reason. With great abilities, is it possible that such a person should not be hired as a procurement agent? End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 74. Chapter 74. A grandfather and a grandson. Director Yang nodded, very satisfied, and patted Director Hao on the shoulder. I didn't expect you, a comrade, to be so considerate and very capable at work. Turning to look at Fan Jianxi looked nonchalant, which made Director Yang feel a little unhappy. This young man doesn't have a strong sense of responsibility. Although it is true that the time is too tight, we cannot take this matter lightly. Your name is Fan Jianxi, right? Although Deputy Director Hao's time schedule is a bit tight for this matter, you should still try your best to handle it. Even if you get back 1,000 or 2,000 caddies first, at least this matter proves your hard work too much force. From this point of view, you are not as responsible as Deputy Director Hao. You guys have to work hard in the future. Serving the people cannot be taken lightly, nor should we engage in bureaucracy. Director Yang is really sincere in his words. Although he is old, in his heart these young people still need to be well cultivated. After all, young people will be the successors of this era in the future. It is his dream to work hard to cultivate responsible and capable young people to take over. Director Hao was very proud. Xiao Fan. Just as I was about to say something righteous, Director Yang personally said that Fan Jianxi had no sense of responsibility. How can such a person still stay in the purchasing position? Staff who do not serve the people are certainly not worthy of continuing to work in this position. Fan Jianxi smiled and said, Director Yang, you are absolutely right. You should be responsible for everything you do. It is precisely because the tasks assigned to me by Director Hao are tight and heavy, so I have not been free from yesterday to today come down. I have contacted the surrounding farmers last night, and I am going to load the truck today. I was late just because I was loading the car back, so I was late. He pointed at the truck at the gate. Everyone was stunned. Is there another one like this? Director Hao's face changed. How is Fan Jianxi possible? He asked his brother-in-law to go out a week in advance to do this task. In this way, he only found 5,000 kilograms of green onions. The remaining 5,000 kilograms of green onions cannot complete the task, but it doesn't matter anyway. As long as he can produce these 5,000 caddies, it will be enough for everyone to praise him. Now Fan Jianxi has actually brought back green onions? How can it be? His brother-in-law has already visited the surrounding villages. As long as they can acquire it, they will have already acquired it. Purchasers from other purchasing stations and supply and marketing cooperatives are also competing with them for goods. It is impossible to have green onions for fan construction now. Xiao Fan, if you can't complete the task, you will be punished. But we can be regarded as upright people. If you are bragging and talking big words, even I will not be able to continue to support you. Deputy Director Hao looked distressed. Director Yang immediately understood that Fan Jianxi was afraid of being blamed by himself. Let's play an empty city strategy. Xiao Fan, what you Deputy Director Hao said is right. If it is really about this matter, it is a mistake to be wrong. It is okay for young people to bravely admit their mistakes. After all, time is tight, and it is excusable that the task cannot be completed. But if something is wrong, he still refuses to admit his mistake and wants to hide it. Have you thought about the consequences of this? In that case, I'm afraid you will be removed. Our country's units must not allow some black sheep to disrupt everyone's work. At the end, Director Yang was already very stern. Did he really not expect that today's young people would go to this extent to cover up their mistakes? Telling lies with your eyes open. In anger, he refused to argue, and also lost a good impression of Fan Jianxi. At first I thought this young man was a good guy, he looked honest and honest. Although the task was not completed, after all, this kind of thing was excusable. Now Director Yang feels that this is of a bad nature. Fan Jianxi smiled and said, Director Yang, you are right. In fact, I also understand that this matter is big or small. If you guys don't believe it, just go out and have a look. This car can't run away if it is parked there. I won't give it to you. You can't turn out green onions all at once by lying. Fan Construction is aiming for this effect. Deputy Director Howe's brother-in-law came in a hurry. Jump out of the car. Dear leaders, the green onions are here. Let's unload the goods quickly. Although the price of these green onions is 1 penny higher than our purchase price, at this time, there is too much competition for other purchases, so I privately decided to agree to the farmer's offer. Split the money. Pretended to wipe the sweat from his head, as if he was busy and tired. But he didn't see Director Howe's answer, which was a bit surprising. He is here to save the situation at this time, shouldn't everyone say something? At least give it some praise. Is it a penny more? That's really embarrassing. Deputy Director Howe, I am a green onion. The farmer brother said that in order to support the country and support the lives of the worker brothers. Although his green onions are the best in the surrounding area, but it won't go up by a penny. They will sell it at whatever price our non-staple food building charges. Director Howe's brother-in-law is cold. What's happening here? Didn't you agree that your green onions would come to rescue you? Why does it look like there is still a batch of green onions? Let's take a look at the green onions first. There are good and bad green onions, and green onions, of course, the price will also be high and low. After all, when we buy things, we get what we pay for, and everyone knows this truth. Deputy Director Howe found the steps for himself. He thought that after working on his brother-in-law for so many days, I was afraid that the green onions that Fanji and she could find were not good ones. Maybe this is a good opportunity for the leader to take a look and make a clear decision. Everyone came to the car. Director Howe's brother-in-law hurriedly opened the rear railing and said, "Miss, quickly throw down the green onions on top. In fact, everyone can see it, but you should look carefully when it is in front of you." A big bundle of onions was thrown down. It's really good. Comparing with the green onions they bought in previous years, they are really long and thick. According to standards, it's not a big deal that these green onions cost a penny. The main reason is that it is the harvest season right now, and all the major supply and marketing cooperatives are rushing for goods. Therefore, if you can buy such good onions, it is really hard to say that it costs a penny. Deputy Director Howe immediately smiled. He knew that although his brother-in-law liked to take advantage of him, he still deserved peace of mind when doing things. Looking at this thing here, no one can say anything. As long as Fanji and she's green onion is taken out, it can't compare with theirs. Then you can find out the reason and clean up Fanji and she. Then let's take a look at Xiao Fan's green onions. Fanji and she jumped onto the car happily and threw several bundles of green onions from behind. When Director Yang saw it, everyone's eyes widened. This onion is a bit too beautiful, not to mention very juicy, and the difference between it and the onion just now is a bit too big. One is like a grandfather and the other is like a grandson. Mainly because this grandpa looks so impressive that people can't help but stand out. A new day of updates has begun. I don't know if I can advance tomorrow, but I am still very motivated today. Everyone continue to support. Please collect, comment, and recommend, all the same. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 75. Chapter 75, The Ironclad. Director Yang couldn't help but laugh. Pick up an onion. Peel off the skin of the onion and eat it in one bite. Can't help but give a thumbs up. Good, really good. This green onion is really delicious, very fresh and sweet. If you don't believe it, come and try it. The director personally went off to eat green onions. How dare others not listen? Immediately, each person picked up a green onion, and everyone present took a bite. Director Yang is from Dongshan. Dongshan people like pancakes rolled with green onions. Although they are not used to eating it, they can only take a bite of green onions. But my eyes lit up after I tasted it. The green onions were not that spicy. Very delicious. It's really just like what Director Yang said, it's fresh and sweet. It's really good. Why are these onions so delicious? Not to mention, this green onion really tastes sweet. If you put it that way, the quality of these green onions is really good. Everyone was talking about it all of a sudden. After Director Yang has finished eating, he is the fighter who eats green onions. Although there were no pancakes, I finished them in just 3 bites. The others just took a bite and held it in their hands without eating any more. After all, no one can tolerate eating raw green onions. Of course, the taste in the Lord's mouth is unbearable. Fan Jianxi. Okay, okay. I didn't expect that this young man like you is so capable. Not only did you complete the task in such a short time, but you also completed it so well. It's of high quality and low price. It truly serves everyone. Consider. The young man is very capable. How many years have you worked in the supply and marketing cooperative? Director Yang admires the young man in front of him from the bottom of his heart. Although he is young, he does things so calmly. Moreover, I am not proud at all. I was suppressed and said so just now, and I was not worried at all. Neither banged the table nor glared. He also has a good temper and explains to everyone. From this point of view, this young man is really admirable. Fan Jianxi was really flattered in his heart. You must know that the person patting his shoulder was Director Yang. This is the director of the city's Economic Administration Bureau who is in charge of them. How could he have met such a high-ranking leader if it hadn't been for this inspection mission? Director Yang, I have made you laugh. I have been working in the supply and marketing cooperative for 10 years. When I came back from the army, I was assigned to our supply and marketing cooperative. Later, I worked in the purchasing department of our supply and marketing cooperative for so many years. In fact, I didn't do anything. No results. But since this is what I do, I want to do it well. I am just a brick of our supply and marketing cooperative. I can move it wherever it is needed. What you said is very good, Fan Jianxi. You can have such an ideological consciousness at a young age, which is worth learning from. After working here for 10 years, I still think about everyone and consider everyone in a down-to-earth manner. Just focus on this. You have a bright future. These words almost made several other leaders look at him with admiration immediately. Everyone had their own little calculation in mind. Excuse me, give way, here comes the potato. Someone shouted. A large truck also drove in. Xiao Wu winked at the co-pilot with a proud look on his face. Director Hao, the task you assigned me has been completed, and it has been completed ahead of schedule. 10,000 kilograms of potatoes will be delivered to you. This time, thanks to Fan Jianxi, the farmer brother he helped us contact is really capable. The potatoes are not only in sufficient quantity, but also look at their quality and size. They are really rare and good. The most important thing is that the price is not expensive at all. Xiao Wu jumped out of the car and said that the spitting stars were flying everywhere. But these words immediately added another layer of halo to Fan Jianxi. Look at how united comrades are. Not only do you complete your own tasks, but you also help your comrades complete their tasks without any selfish motives. Director Yang now genuinely likes Fan Jianxi in front of him. This is a good comrade who really does things. Still a good comrade who does practical things. There is no thought of seeking credit or flattery at all. Although I have completed my task, I can still think of helping other comrades complete their tasks. Thinking about the concerns of the comrades and the concerns of the people, it is a good idea to talk about the construction of this model on this point. What other tasks are you helping them with? Come on. Tell me. Don't hide it there. There is something you can't say. Being modest is a good thing, but being too humble is not good. Director Yang's words seemed much more cordial, as if Fan Jianxi was his junior. Others also treat him differently. Fashion construction must be promoted. Fan Jianxi scratched his head. Although his niece told him that he encountered such a thing, he couldn't say it himself and had to let others do it. But when the director asked him about it, it would be a bit too much to pretend not to say anything. Xiao Wu took the lead. Leader, as soon as I saw your angry face, I knew that you must be the big leader who came down to inspect. I am Xiao Wu, the purchaser of the supply and marketing cooperative, and this Fan Jianxi, we were comrades in arms in the past. This is what he has done. What good things have he done? Don't tell anyone. Always smiling and looking carefree, but in fact he is very considerate. This time, Deputy Director Hao assigned us too urgent a task. Yesterday at noon, he gave each of us a purchase task of 10,000 kilograms of vegetables. But as you know, everyone around here is now rushing to stock up on vegetables for the winter. The vegetables in this field are limited, but there are many people rushing to buy them. We almost broke our legs and couldn't find that much. Who knew that the farmer brother Fan Jianxi contacted actually had these resources on hand and was willing to help? Fan Jianxi not only completed his own task of green onions, but also helped me complete the task of 10,000 kilograms of potatoes. Have you not mentioned that I will bring another 10,000 kilograms of cabbage tomorrow? If possible, I can continue to send it there. Fan Jianxi said that although helping comrades means helping each other, what he thinks is that by helping us, we are helping the workers and their families in the steel plant. Their winter vegetables can meet their urgent needs. These words immediately raised Fan Jianxi to a higher level. Director Yang nodded, yes, our socialist cadres must have such spirit and motivation. Think about what the people think and worry about what the people urgently need. For people like you, Fan Jianxi, being a purchaser is really a bit difficult. QKI. I am very optimistic about you and hope that you can actively run for the position of the next director and make more contributions to the people. Look, everyone, this is the style our new generation of young people should have. Fan Jianxi's spirit should be commended. Others immediately praised him. Yes, Comrade Fan Jianxi has done a very good job. Comrades like Fan Jianxi should move to a higher position and serve everyone in order to unleash his energy. Yes. Fan Jianxi, you are the next director that we all like, so work hard. Although it is not confirmed that Fan Jianxi is the next director, so many leaders have answered in the affirmative. Fan Jianxi is almost a sure candidate for the next director. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 76. Chapter 76, Murder Caused by Borrowing Money, 3 chapters in 1. Send Director Yang and others away. Director Hao has completely given up. His face turned gray. I have been working hard for so many days. In the end, Fan Jianxi picked the peach. What is this? He was so regretful that he stamped his feet and beat his chest. Had he known that Fan Jianxi would be favored by his superiors because of these green onions and potatoes, he would never have issued such an order. The result was good. Instead of failing to perform well in front of the leadership, I pushed Fan Jianxi to the front. Let others steal the limelight. What is this? It's so embarrassing. Fan Jianxi and Xiao Wu helped the driver and unloaded all the goods in front. Xiao Wu winked. Brother Fan, I think you are sure of the position of director this time. Have you not seen what kind of character Deputy Director Hao has become now? It's like an eggplant beaten by frost. Let him look like a villain all day long. Is it okay this time? Fan Jianxi slapped him with an elbow. Hurry up and get to work. We are not the ones adding insult to injury. We still don't know who will be the director in the end. If it's not me in the future, I can tell you that you have your shoes to wear. Xiao Wu glared, Bah, don't say this nonsense. You will definitely be the next director, and I'm very optimistic about you. The voice was a little lower. Fan Jianxi pointed at him and Xiao Wu sneered. The two of them went in with their arms around each other. Director Hao was so angry that his nose was almost crooked. Brother-in-law, what should we do, these 5,000 kilograms of green onions? Brother-in-law was so anxious that he spent a lot of money to 5,000 kilograms of green onions from others. The result is not as good as others now. Director Hao was furious. What else can we do? Unload. Now that things are like this, Deputy Director Hao can only do this. But this matter may leave a bad impression in the eyes of the leader. Deputy Director Hao is so regretful. If I had known earlier, my brother-in-law would have just come in quietly. I still insist on making a big show of myself, so now is the best time. It is not easy to get into the purchasing department. It's registered in everyone's eyes, and I don't know how many people are waiting to catch the pigtails. Zhang Xiaoxiao has finally finished all these things these days. There was another 400 yuan in my pocket. Don't look too far. You must know that in this era, vegetables are everywhere for 1 penny and 1 pound. Even if you want to pay more, no one wants them. Because potatoes are more expensive. Only then did she give her a total of 400 yuan. There is no way this is the price of goods in this era. But Zhang Xiaoxiao was also happy. 400 yuan is also money. A bicycle only costs 150 yuan. This is a huge amount of money. Zhang Lei returned home and quietly pulled his sister aside. Xiao, do me a favor and lend me some money. It's not much, just lend me 10 yuan. When the big brother earns his salary, can I pay you back double? Looking like a guilty thief, he looked around for fear of being overheard by Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lixi. Children in this era do not have pocket money. Even if they have some lucky money during the new year, they may have to be confiscated by their parents. Zhang Xiaoxiao is a little curious. Her eldest brother will ask her to borrow money. He is not a person who spends money randomly. Besides, his basic living needs can be provided by his family. Why do you need money? Brother, what do you need money for? Zhang Lei shut his mouth. Zhang Xiaoxiao was even happier. Hey, his eldest brother is actually doing underground work. Still keeping it a secret. I definitely have $10, but if you don't tell me what you're doing, I won't lend it to you, and I'll immediately turn around and go to my parents to tell the truth. Just say that you don't know who you are with some shady people outside. If you mess around and dare to borrow money, let's see how your parents will judge you. Zhang Xiaoxiao turned around and walked towards his parents' house. Count silently in your mind. 1, 2, 3. Xiaoxiao, wait, why don't I say it's not possible yet? Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and turned around, thinking that his eldest brother had changed his temper now. He had only been so strict for 3 seconds. Then tell me quickly, as long as your reason is legitimate and you are not doing anything bad, don't worry, let alone 10 yuan, I can lend you even 100 yuan. He patted his chest and promised. Zhang Lei's eyes lit up. Zhang Xiaoxiao, you have learned bad things, and now you dare to hide your personal money. Where did you get 100 yuan? Please tell me honestly. My parents usually are reluctant to give me a dime, and they wish they could break it into several petals. How could you secretly hide so much pocket money? Brother, you are off topic. This is not the point. Do you want to borrow money? If you don't borrow money, then I'm leaving. Zhang Lei hurriedly stopped him. Of course I'll borrow it, how can I not borrow it? Then tell me, what are you borrowing this money for? Let me tell you, I lent this money to a friend. It's that Hieguo, do you remember? The guy you met last time in the waste collection yard. I actually had a fight with him later. Fight, not to mention his really good skills. We have never known each other before fighting. I found out about him later and it was so miserable. When I was young, my mother died early, and I got a stepmother. After the stepmother got married, she gave birth to a younger brother and a younger sister. You think about it yourself. Can the stepmother still treat him well? The result can be imagined. Now there is no place for him. Originally, his family didn't insist that he become an educated youth, but his father insisted on letting him become an educated youth. As an educated youth, you should be an educated youth, but he was about to leave, but his family didn't give him a penny except buying him a bus ticket. He didn't expect that a man like him would soon leave home and go to a farm thousands of miles away. When you get to the farm, there must be something that needs something. You don't even have a penny with you, so you won't even be able to use it urgently. He had been worrying these past 2 days, thinking about asking a friend to borrow it first, but he didn't have any good friends. Like me, I don't have a few cents in my pocket. How can I lend it to him? I did the math myself, and the little pocket money I had added up to only $1.50. I feel embarrassed even if I take it out. Good sister, think about it, how pitiful he is. Besides, he is my eldest brother's friend, and he went to the countryside with you. Maybe you will be friends in the future. Can you just be my big brother and lend me some money? Zhang Xiaoxiao slapped his forehead and realized that he had really forgotten about this matter. Look at her memory. Brother, I can lend you money, but regarding Hyeguo, I recently heard someone tell me a piece of news. I don't know if it is true or not. Anyway, I'm telling you, it's up to you whether you tell Hyeguo or not. Zhang Lei was interested. Who have you met recently? I'm really surprised to hear some news about Hyeguo. Is it possible that everyone is gossiping now? They always talk about other people. The rights and wrongs of the family. In fact, he is the most gossipy. Then do you listen? Listen, why don't you listen? Speak quickly. The two people were hiding quietly and secretly in the corner. After Zhang Lei heard this, he was shocked. He didn't expect that what his sister told him was a shocking secret. Isn't this a lie? If what you said is false, I will tell Hyeguo then. If Hyeguo tells his father, then his father won't beat him to death. Don't you know that his father beat him to death? He is so cruel. Carrying that belt can break the belt. This matter is related to a person's reputation, and even a man can't bear it. If his father doesn't believe it, then Hyeguo will be unlucky. Zhang Lei couldn't believe it to his death that a woman could be so bold as to do such a thing. I don't know if it's true or not, but the person they mentioned said that Hyeguo's brother and sister look exactly like Zhang Qiuzhong from the fertilizer factory, and Zhang Qiuzhong used to live in the same village as Hyeguo's stepmother. I heard that the two I have been in love before. This kind of thing can never be faked. People in the village know best. It seems that the elders of the two parents disagreed, so it didn't work out. But the two people have always been in contact. I also heard that Zhang Qiuzhong is very rich and often tells others that he is now supported by a woman. My best friend is rich, and I can give him 20 or 30 yuan every month. He also said that he had a son and daughter, and others gave him free money to raise his daughter. When he gets old, he will enjoy the blessings of his own daughter and daughter. 20 or 30 yuan, which is equivalent to a worker's salary. I heard that Hyeguo's father earned a lot from the mines, earning more than 100 yuan a month. Putting these things together, it seems that people have to believe that after all, ordinary workers only have 20 or 30 yuan a month, and it is impossible to really spend all this money on others. His father didn't realize that it was only someone like Hyeguo's father who earned a lot that could have this ability. Anyway, believe it or not, I am telling you, you can decide for yourself whether to tell Hyeguo. Let his father spend all his money and energy on two children who are not his own flesh and blood, but instead beat or scold his own children. I don't think it's worth it to be patriotic. After saying this, Zhang finished his small work. Even if her eldest brother has such a temper, her eldest brother will not be able to hold back and say something. As expected, Zhang Lei jumped up and said, "No, I have to tell Hyeguo about this. We are close buddies. I know this and don't even tell him. Am I still a friend? I have to tell him now. Go find him, this matter must be investigated clearly. Believe it or not is one thing. It's one thing to tell his father or not, just in case his stepmother takes away all the family property in the future. Taking advantage of someone who is not his brother or sister at all, it would be unjust to be patriotic. Turn around and leave." Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't stop him. This kind of thing would break out sooner or later anyway. However, it will happen about 20 years later, after Hyeguo's father has retired and all the family's house deposits have been given to his younger siblings. Burst out. Turning out that this person was not his biological child, Hyeguo's father also died of a heart attack due to anger. I just let this matter break out in advance. How could he be spared from his brothers jumping up and down? How it will develop in the future, it seems, can only depend on Hyeguo and his father. He family. A slap in the face. Hyeguo was beaten and turned his face aside. "You beast, you can even say such things. Those are your biological brothers and sisters, and you actually doubt their origins. What are you thinking? I really didn't expect your mind to be so twisted at such a young age. I know you don't like your stepmother, nor your younger brothers and sisters. You feel that they have robbed me of all my love. But you also ask yourself, what good things have you done? It's worth me liking you so much. You can't be a good person. I have raised you in vain. I have raised a beast like you for so many years. I tell you, if you go to the farm, never come back. I don't want you to show your filial piety even if I die." Hidachin was so angry that he really didn't expect to hear what his son said to him when he came home today. He said that his two children were not his biological children, but were born to his own woman who cheated on him and made him a cuckold. Which is tolerable and intolerable, even if Hyeguo is his biological son. He also felt that he wished he could kill his son now. Is this what people say? It is normal for his son to want to be favored by himself, and he understands it. But he didn't understand how this child could become like this, even with such methods. Hyeguo stood up and said, "Dad, I've known for a long time that you don't believe me. You won't believe anything I say. In your mind, I am such a person who is not worthy of being believed. But even if you don't believe me, you can't go to the fertilizer factory to meet that man Zhang Qiushong. Auntie, her natal family is in the countryside, more than 300 miles away from us. On weekdays, the aunt often takes her brother with her. My sister said she was visiting relatives at home. But have you seen your relatives from your natal family in the city? You have never seen him once. If it is like what I said, it is impossible to say that the aunt took the younger brothers and sisters to meet their biological father. Everyone said that the man looked very much like his younger brother and sister. How could they look so similar if they weren't related by blood? Even if you want to beat me to death now, I just ask you to take a look and find out the truth for yourself. If I am wrong, I will never come back to this house in my life. I just don't want you to be left in the dark. I have not asked you for anything else, not before, and I will not ask for anything else in the future." Hyeguo strode away. This home is really sad. Hidachin slowly calmed down as he watched his son leave. His wife and children are not at home right now. It is estimated that the eldest son also thought that his wife was not at home, so he said this to him. He has known for a long time that his son and daughter don't look like him, but he always feels that his son and daughter look like his wife. If he really misses him, it won't look good. Hidachin would always praise the children when meeting people, and that they looked like his own wife. Otherwise, marriage would become a problem in the future. He knew that he was not good looking. Not only was he tall and thick, he also had dark skin, small eyes, and a big nose. He has yellow teeth and pimples all over his face. He was content to be able to marry such a beautiful wife, so he has always been very kind to her. Especially since he is a widower with a son. So if his wife is not nice to his son, he will turn a blind eye. In addition, his wife gave birth to a son and a daughter. The two children are not only beautiful, but also have a good mouth, are very sweet and can coax people. His heart is naturally more inclined to the children and wife behind him. But he never expected that his son would say such things today. If he had never heard such words at first, he would not doubt it, but now that his son has said this. These words took root in my heart, and slowly, all kinds of questions began to flood my heart. He was unwilling to believe this. A person is sitting in the room blankly. In the evening, my wife came back with her son and a daughter. The son is 18 years old, which is actually a few years younger than his son. The daughter is 3 years younger than the son. When I saw the deserted house, I felt a little surprised. In the past, when they came back, Lao he must have prepared the meals and waited for the mother and son to come back. Today was a good day. When I came back, the pots and stoves were all cold, there was nothing on the table, and I didn't even buy any vegetables. A little unhappy, throwing and beating. I'm really patriotic. How long has it been? Let's not talk about cooking. It's not easy for us to travel all the way back and forth. I have to cook when we get back. The two children have been hungry for a long time, and my daughter has been eating all the time on the way. I was shouting that I was starving. I thought it would be nice to have hot food when I got home. Anyway, it was always he patriot's fault in her mouth. Hidachin didn't say anything. He looked up at his son and daughter. His son also had a look of impatience on his face. But that look made him panic. In fact, the child didn't look like his wife. To put it bluntly, I don't know who this child looks like. He used to think that this child was fair, a bit like his wife, but now he has doubts in his heart, and he feels that it doesn't look much like his wife. I have something to do today. It's late to cook, so just do it. Patriot will go to the countryside soon, and the things are not ready yet. How can I have time for him to cook? What's wrong with asking you to cook a meal? For the first time, Hidachin felt that those words were too harsh. In the eyes of his wife, his son is not a human being, or he is not a human being, so he should serve their three mothers like a cow or a horse. Ding Gihua was unhappy. She was a man who usually listened to her and was obedient to her. But I didn't expect to say this today. But she also knew that anything she said at this time would be wrong, and that women should not cook. This man earns a lot of money and is very concerned about his family. He gives all the money he earns to himself. From this point of view, she has to serve this man well. If it weren't for the children, why would the man endure it until now? I have had enough of seeing such a toad face every day. I'm just telling you, why are you so angry? Okay, okay. Just cook. Having finished a dinner, the children all went to rest. Hidachin sat there motionless. Ding Gihua didn't wait on her, she just washed herself and went to bed. Going to see that dead man today, the two of them would inevitably flirt with each other, and she was exhausted. Hidachin glanced at his woman. She was sleeping like a dead pig, but from his perspective, you can almost see some traces on the exposed area of the woman's waistcoat's neck. Although it is very light, he is a man and he understands how these things come from. I haven't been with this woman recently. Frankly speaking, I want to be intimate with my wife, but my wife always makes excuses to avoid her. He used to think that he was too rude, so his wife disliked him, but now he suddenly felt a little suspicious. That's not the reason at all. This woman probably never had a crush on him from the beginning. Hidachin clenched his fists. The next day, Hidachin told his wife that he was going to work in the mine. He went directly to the mine and asked for a week's leave. Then he took a car to Ding Gihua's natal home. 2 days later, when he came back from the fertilizer factory, he was completely wilted. Everything was exactly as my son said. This woman actually betrayed him. When he saw the face that looked exactly like his son, he understood instantly. How can they look the same if they are not related by blood? Hidachin kicked the door open. Ding Gihua is putting braised pork in a bowl for her son. There was plenty of meat and fish on the table. Because he earned a lot of money from working in the mines, the food at home was always very good. Let's not treat our sons and daughters badly. Look at the table full of good things. Braised pork, braised fish, and scrambled eggs with leeks. The only people sitting at the table to eat were Ding Gihua and her son and daughter, and her eldest son was not there at all. He thought for a while, and since Ding Gihua married into their family, his eldest son has never had a meal at the table. Every time it's in the kitchen. He never seemed to care about whether his son could eat well or not. As if that was not his son, but now it is better, the money he earns is used to feed and drink other people's children. Hidachin's eyes turned red. Ding Gihua was startled when she saw Hidachin coming in. What are you doing? Just open the door and come in. How can you kick me? Look, it scares the children. This is a good time to eat fish. In case they choke on the fish bones. A face full of complaints and scolding. Hidachin walked to the table. Dad, you are serious to come back? As soon as you come back, look at the dirt and smell all over your body, it stinks. His favorite son had a look of disgust on his face and covered his nose with his hand. Hidachin sneered, good, really good. This is his home. The table was overturned in one fell swoop, and all the food on the table was smashed to the floor. Because Ding Gihua and her son and daughter were not prepared, they were drenched by the food on the table. The three of them sat on the chairs, dumbfounded. Ding Gihua didn't even understand what was wrong. Hidachin, what are you doing? You are crazy, aren't you? The tail of the braised fish is taken off the head, and the whole body is dripping with juice. Ding Gihua couldn't bear it. This man wanted to rebel. Dad, what are you doing? Look at what you've done to me. I'm going to meet my friends when I go out soon. These clothes are so dirty. Are you going to let me see people? Hijao was furious. He was wearing a white cool shirt, which had already become colorful at this moment. What do I do? I'll let you know what I do. Hidachin took out his belt. In the past, only his eldest son received the treatment of this belt. This time, he was beaten all over the face, and he was really going crazy. He came back patriotically. The whole house felt as if there had been an earthquake. There was no one in the house, but almost everything was smashed. Father Hidachin sat on the ground and seemed to have aged dozens of years. Hyeguo sighed and started to clean up. No matter what the outcome is, he has to leave. On the train tomorrow, he has to go to the countryside. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 77. Chapter 77, A Close Relationship. It's time to set off. Zhang Xiaoxiao will leave soon. Fan Qiuying and Zhang Lishi put their daughter on the train with great reluctance. 4 big luggage bags, none of them would have been able to get into the car if Zhang Lei hadn't called his comrades from the team to help. There are many educated youths who go to the countryside at the station. It's all very busy. All of a sudden, people are squeezing each other, and people are bumping into each other. Zhang Xiaoxiao happened to see Hyeguo. They were in the same carriage. What a coincidence. Hyeguo also helped. Everyone has to get on the bus. Zhang Xiaoxiao said goodbye to his family. He couldn't do it without saying goodbye. At this time, people see off their relatives on the platform. Zhang Xiaoxiao waved his hand and looked at Fan Qiuying, who was crying with tears, and Zhang Lishi, who was pretending to be strong, and shouted loudly. "Mom and Dad, don't worry, I will write to you, I will come back to see you during the holidays." The train goes farther and farther. Finally everything disappears. Zhang Xiaoxiao felt uncomfortable. She knew she would be back soon, but she still felt uncomfortable. Parents, she will make them live a good life in this life. Hyeguo looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao, who was in a low mood. I also know that I will definitely feel bad when I leave home for the first time. Hand her an apple. Here, Zhang Xiaoxiao, this apple is delicious. Apples are hard to come by. It is not available on the market for anyone who wants to buy it. Hyeguo saw a few more apples in his salute today. Of course I know who bought it. For Hyeguo, who has never had a good attitude toward him, this may be the first time he feels warmth. But it seems hard to warm my heart. That's it between him and his father. Zhang Xiaoxiao rarely smiled. She really has no shortage of apples. Taking it over with a smile, this apple is so patriotic. Handlessly took out a peach from his skull bag. Hand it to Hyeguo. Here. Let's eat in exchange, brother you're welcome. Forcibly forced it into Hyeguo's hands. Hyeguo's face turned red. He is an apple no bigger than the palm of your hand. If it were someone else's, it would be a peach as big as a palm. This is taking advantage. This, can't do it. What I just wanted to say. Zhang Xiaoxiao was happy, brother you are my eldest brother's best friend. Why are you so polite? I may ask you for help more often in the future. If you are so polite every time, I won't dare to come to your door to ask for help. One sentence silenced Hyeguo's mouth. Hyeguo laughed. This girl is really outspoken. He seems to be easy to get along with. Zhang Lei has always asked him to take care of his sister. Especially Zhang Xiaoxiao really helped him a lot, although his father didn't talk to him now, he didn't say a word when he left. But he knew that stepmother Ding Gihua had left with her younger brothers and sisters. 3 people were missing from their household registration. I don't know how my father solved the problem. He really didn't care. No matter what, he did what he should do. In fact, I feel relieved. Father did not show up in the morning. He was drunk last night. But there were 30 yuan on the table, and Hyeguo felt sad for the first time when he looked at the money. This is the first time his father gave him money without him asking for it, but unfortunately he didn't want it. Facing Zhang Xiaoxiao now, Hyeguo feels much more relaxed, as his family is too repressive. You can't be too polite yourself. There are many opportunities to be grateful. The 2 people suddenly became more harmonious. An apple, a peach, gnaw it together. The people sitting next to them couldn't help but feel hot in their eyes. It is great to be able to eat fresh fruits at this time, which means that the conditions at home are good. Most people consider themselves lucky if they can eat apples once a year. It's not easy to buy even if you have money. Besides, I have all these fresh fruits to give away. How could anyone treat a child so badly? Basically, every carriage goes to one place. To put it bluntly, this train has only one destination. That is the Kenking farm known as the Great Northern Wilderness. We are all educated youth. They come from all over the world. Zhang Xiaoxiao knew that they were actually the most unlucky group of educated youths. The policies from above had changed and all the educated youths were returning to the city. Why would they go to the countryside? However, the policies have not been officially issued, and the previous policies are still being implemented. After them, there will be no more ignorant youth. Of course there are still some empty spots, because a new batch of educated youth will arrive at a major station on the road at any time. In this case, the destination is the same, but the starting point is different. Zhang Xiaoxiao talked to Hyeguo for a while, and also chatted with other people. Everyone got to know each other immediately. A girl sitting next to Zhang Xiaoxiao came over and had a heated fight with them. This girl's name is Lu Ji, and the one next to her is Fang Ran. They are both from the same compound. They are best friends and came out together when they were young. They are considered to be from the same place. The man and woman on Hyeguo's side, Wang Qiaqiang and Zhao Miun, are also classmates, so they all know each other. When we got to the next stop, there were more people on the bus. Zhang Xiaoxiao took a quick look and should be able to see his best friend in his previous life. Jia Shu came up from this station. If I remember correctly, Jia Shu encountered the most embarrassing thing when she came up. This time she is here. There is no more embarrassment in life. It won't take a while. Many people crowded into the carriage. A girl also squeezed in carrying 2 big bags. He was sweating profusely and wanted to find a place to put down the big bag on his shoulders. But there were people and luggage everywhere, making it difficult to even walk. The aisles were even more crowded with people. Jia Shu was sweating and her face was pale. God knows how I was so unlucky, just in time for the women's friends to come. How good it is now, what can I do? There is not even a place to stay. Jia Shu's stomach hurt and her eyesight turned black. Damn it! Something is going to happen. A stream of heat surged out, and Jia Shu felt something was wrong. Come here, come here. A voice appears. Suddenly a girl greeted her from a seat not far away. Then a boy stood up to help and took the big bag for her. Stuffed into the aisle next to the seat, she finally squeezed through and stood there leaning against the seat to thank. Thank you for your help, my name is Jia Shu, nice to meet you. I am Zhang Xiaoxiao, how patriotic is this, this is. Zhang Xiaoxiobala gave an introduction. You sit on the big bag, make do with it, it's estimated that there are still 6 hours left. Fang Ran took a quick look and saw that Jia Shu was leaning on her seat, squeezing her. A little unhappy. Pointed there. Jia Shu was embarrassed. I don't dare to sit down, in case, I'll make a fool of myself. But he was kind-hearted, and it seemed like he was going against me if he didn't sit down. No one is human outside here. Come on, here, you sit here, I'll just stand for a while. I've been sitting for a long time and I want to stand for a while. Zhang Xiaoxiao's words were completely unexpected and shocked many people in the carriage. Many people were simply surprised. Is this little girl in front of them a fool? A fat woman next to me said hurriedly, I'll sit, I'll sit. The whole person wanted to squeeze in. Zhang Xiaoxiao frowned, comrade, I don't know you, why should I let you sit? This is the seat I bought. These words are unexpected again, mainly because everyone is trying to save face. Whoever encounters this kind of thing would be embarrassed to say such words in public. Who would have thought that Zhang Xiaoxiao would dare to say this in front of everyone, and he would say it so confidently? Many people were impressed. Who doesn't know that this carriage is full of educated youths? Now it seems that this Zhang Xiaoxiao is probably very difficult to offend, he is a powerful person. The fat woman is anxious. Waving his fingers as thick as radishes. Why are you like this? You said you felt a little uncomfortable and wanted to stand up and change. Isn't it the same as changing with anyone? We are all going to be educated youths. Even if we don't know each other now, we can't guarantee it in the future. If we don't know each other from now on, maybe we'll live together. Do you understand? This is called revolutionary friendship. Zhang Xiaoxiao pulled Jia Shu over and stuffed her into his seat. Standing where Jia Shu was just now, he looked at ease. No matter what kind of friendship you have with me, it doesn't matter. I'm only willing to exchange with someone I like. Otherwise, I'm not stupid or crazy. I won't sit down in a good seat and insist on standing. The nose of anyone who can match it will be crooked with anger. I have never seen you like this. There is simply something wrong with you. Left in a huff. Jia Shu is sorry. Looking at it this way, Zhang Xiaoxiao was so kind to her. She was a stranger to her, so she ended up sitting in her seat, which was really a bit embarrassing. A little restless. Xiaoxiao, otherwise you should just sit here. Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled and pushed the teapot on the table in front of her. Drink, brown sugar water soaked in boiling water. Say in a low voice. A sound that only two people can hear. Jia Shu was stunned for a moment. How does Zhang Xiaoxiao know? Zhang Xiaoxiao turned to look at the scenery outside the car window. Jia Shu couldn't figure out how Zhang Xiaoxiao in front of her knew that she was in her menstrual period, but the brown sugar water was very kind. You must know that these days, brown sugar still costs money. No one can afford 2 taels of brown sugar a year. It is considered a valuable thing. The big enamel teapot was opened, and it was indeed steaming hot. It is hot brown sugar water, and looking at the color of the water, you can tell that there is a lot of brown sugar in it, and it is very sweet just by smelling it. Jia Shu drank the brown sugar water from the enamel tea jar. As expected, her stomach felt much better and her face gradually turned rosy. Looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao gratefully. Zhang Xiaoxiao was sitting in her big bag at the door, looking out the window boredly, and the two of them looked at each other. A knowing smile. Friendships are established instantly. Jia Shu felt that Zhang Xiaoxiao seemed to be someone she had known in her previous life. This girl is cheerful, kind, and courageous. I really like the girl in front of me. It was completely dark, and everyone started to have dinner. Anyway, everyone brought dry food. Even if there is a food seller on the train, not many people will buy it. Most people want to save money. Some were holding black-faced steamed buns and eating pickles, while others were holding steamed buns. Only a small number of people can take out eggs. Most of them are steamed buns and pickles. No one dislikes anyone. Basically about the same. Jia Shu was a little embarrassed. Her mother didn't prepare any solid food for her, not even stuffing her with steamed buns. When I couldn't walk by myself, my father was still lying in bed sick. The family is basically destitute, and there are 3 younger brothers and sisters waiting for food, so they can't afford anything at all. In fact, she took a sip of corn grits porridge in the morning today. So far, even 1 bite has not been eaten. In fact, her stomach was already growling, and she looked out the window awkwardly. Originally, she wanted to switch with Zhang Xiaoxiao just now, but Zhang Xiaoxiao refused. There were so many people in the car, and it was pointless to let them go, so she had no choice but to sit there. Now everyone took out their own lunch boxes to eat, and she had no choice but to turn her face to the window in embarrassment. His face is on fire. Zhang Xiaoxiao took out his lunch box. Her mother was afraid that she would be hungry, so she brought her 3 lunch boxes when she left. A lunch box contains cabbage, egg, and vermicelli made from home. 1 lunch box contains large steamed buns stuffed with cabbage, and another lunch box contains white flour pancakes. Even specially cooked 10 tea eggs for her. Zhang Xiaoxiao took out a lunch box and waited for the leek zygotes to be taken out. The others drooled when they saw it. If nothing else, Zhang Xiaoxiao knew about the things made from the food grown in her own space. The taste is indeed sweeter than usual. Not to mention that when her mother made it for her, it was full of seasonings, for fear of treating her daughter badly. How can I stop smelling so fragrant now? Others were biting into the steamed buns and black-faced steamed buns in their hands, feeling a little bit lost in their taste. Many people have to pretend to stare at their feet in embarrassment, otherwise what should they do? It will be your face if you watch others eat it. The people in this car are basically 17 or 18 years old, 24 or 5 at most. Everyone is about the same age and they are all about to save face. Zhang Xiaoxiao saw that there was only one steamed bun in Hyeguo's hand. There is also a black pickle lump. This is something that every household here can pickle. In winter, white radish is pickled with salt to become pickles. The summer season has not been finished yet, so I was afraid of spoiling it, so I could only take out these pickles and wash them. Cut it into pieces, thread it with thread and hang it on the rope to dry. After drying, it becomes this kind of old pickle. Whenever you eat it, take out the pickle, soak it, and then cut it into shreds. It's okay if you don't soak it, just bite it dry. It is a must-have for everyone. A zygote was thrust into Hyeguo's hands. Jiashu also had a zygote that was still warm inserted into her hand. The two of them were startled. You know, this box is made of white flour. No one would be willing to eat fine grain here. Many people are replacing fine grains with coarse grains, just to get more grain so that they can last from this month to the end of the month. By eating someone else's food, isn't that taking advantage of someone else's huge fortune? You too, hurry up and eat. What are you doing so stupidly? My mother specially prepared this for the three of us. I didn't see that my mother prepared 3 lunch boxes. Eat quickly, otherwise you will let down my mother's wishes. As soon as these words came out, everyone suddenly realized that these 3 people knew each other and seemed to have a close relationship. Most people would not be able to prepare such a good thing. PK lost, the normal update will start today, don't worry, there will be more updates in the future, I hope you can continue to support. This chapter is actually 4,000 words long, enough to fill 2 chapters. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 78. Chapter 78 Questions. This. Hyeguo looked around and saw that no one was paying attention to them. But he knew that everyone was standing up and listening. If he talks nonsense, he will betray Zhang Xiaoxiao's intentions. How could he not know that if Zhang Xiaoxiao only gave it to the 2 of them and not to anyone else, people might have objections. Everyone will go to the same farm in the future. Who knows if we will encounter times in the future when we need help from others. You cannot make enemies for Zhang Xiaoxiao at this time. People greet them with good intentions, but they cannot be heartless. Besides, this is Zhang Lei's sister, and she has also helped her own family. If it weren't for Zhang Xiaoxiao, he and his father would still be kept in the dark. He always thought they were his younger brothers and sisters, so he just tolerated it. After all, they were a family. Stepmother was not good to him, but his younger brothers and sisters were not wrong. If this goes on, I can't bear to be deceived. Now the truth has finally come to light. Gratitude is absolute. Let alone harm Zhang Xiaoxiao. Thank you. Auntie does this every time. I'm embarrassed. Jiashu, please eat quickly. Don't let down Auntie's wishes. Hyeguo made a prompt decision. Jiashu's mouth was shut with one sentence. I'm afraid this girl has no eyesight. If they come out and reveal this matter with a casual sentence, I am afraid that other people will immediately have opinions on them, and they may be isolated in the future. Jiashu said nothing, nodded understandingly, squeezed the zygote in her hand, and took a bite. The vermicelli with cabbage and egg is fragrant in the mouth. Jiashu had tears in her eyes. Fang Gran looked at the 3 of them curiously. Zhang Xiaoxiao, I don't recognize you and Jiashu, am I wrong? We all think so. She just felt something was wrong. That Hyeguo said, it seems that the 2 people do know each other. You can hear both inside and outside the words that the 2 people care about each other. Especially when one of the 2 people gave me an apple and the other took a peach. It means that these 2 people know each other and have a good relationship. But for the Jiashu who just got on the train, all of them intuitively felt that this Jiashu did not recognize them. The reason why Fang Ran said this was of course a slight jealousy in his heart. After all, Jia Shu knew Zhang Xiaoxiao later than them. On the contrary, Zhang Xiaoxiao took care of Jia Shu in every way, even giving up his seat to Jia Shu, and even gave her his own brown sugar water. Don't think they don't know. Before Jia Shu got on the train, Zhang Xiaoxiao went there to get boiled water and returned. And he took some brown sugar cubes from his satchel and put them in. There are quite a few lumps of brown sugar. At that time, many people were envious and felt that this little girl's family was too accustomed to it. I actually brought her so much brown sugar when I went out. After all, there are many female educated youths on this bus, and some of them bring brown sugar to their families, but no one can drink brown sugar as water. Everyone is envious and jealous there. Unexpectedly, when she turned around, the little girl actually gave the drink to a stranger. They were a little uncomfortable in their hearts. After all, there is always a first come, first served basis for people to get to know each other. After all, they are all from the north of Beijing and can be regarded as fellow villagers of Zhang Xiaoxiao. But who would have thought that Zhang Xiaoxiao would actually bring out such delicious food and give it to Jia Shu? Fang Gran felt sour in his heart. She also wants to be friends with Zhang Xiaoxiao. Zhang Xiaoxiao must be in good condition at home. Who wouldn't be envious? If you make friends with Zhang Xiaoxiao, you might be able to get some benefits. In this era, if you are short of clothes and have little to wear, having a friend who is well off will make a difference even if you have one more bite to eat. I didn't see that she and Zhang Xiaoxiao were sitting in the same row. I didn't see how enthusiastic Zhang Xiaoxiao was towards her. At this moment, the big bag that Zhang Xiaoxiao was sitting on was sitting next to her seat. But from the moment they sat down until now, Zhang Xiaoxiao hasn't said a word to her. To put it bluntly, Fang Gran was angry. Jia Shu choked suddenly. Her eyes were confused and she didn't know what to say. She couldn't have caused trouble for Zhang Xiaoxiao, right? Being evasive like that makes people even more suspicious. Others also looked at them. The more this happened, the more scared Jia Shu became. She is not good at lying. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked calm. Jia Shu is the child of a friend of my mother's. Although she doesn't know me. But I know her. Not only do I know, but I also know everything about their family over the years. Ever since my mother knew that she would go to a farm with me, she specially asked when I see her, I want to take care of her. So that's what you see, she doesn't know me. But I know her well. Zhang Xiaoxiao doesn't have to explain anything and just show an attitude that it doesn't matter to you. But this cannot solve the fundamental problem. These people were all educated youth together in their last life. Because Zhang Xiaoxiao was ignorant, he offended many people, and there were many people who got into trouble later. In this life, Zhang Xiaoxiao feels that there is no need to make enemies now. She will never be the same as she was in her last life, comfortable on the lips but at a disadvantage on the bottom. There is no need to cause trouble for one's frivolity. Now Zhang Xiaoxiao is able to face many things more rationally and clearly. It's not about being afraid of things, it's about knowing how to do it better. It is necessary to deal with enemies, but there is no need to fight against ordinary people. It would be foolish to turn everyone against you. Fang Ran looked unbelieving and pulled Lu Ji and said, Zhang Xiaoxiao, you are so funny. I see that Jia Shu doesn't know anything about you. Can you call this friendship? I don't believe it. Do you believe it? Lu Ji looked a little embarrassed. My good friend, if he says he believes it, it would be a slap in the face, but if he says he doesn't believe it, it would be a slap in the face. I also feel that I am nosy, what does it have to do with them? Zhao Miun covered her mouth with her hands and smiled. I said, Fang Ran, you are serious, it doesn't matter to you whether the person knows you or not. Even if you don't know the person, but they meet to make a deal and are willing to interact with each other, it doesn't matter to us. Or are you jealous of the benefits of Jiashu becoming friends with Zhang Xiaoxiao? This person speaks more directly, and he was like this in his previous life. Zhao Miun and Zhang Xiaoxiao were not friends in the previous life, but they were not enemies either. Fang Gran's face turned red, and of course he was a little ashamed of being told what was on his mind. But he was even more frustrated. You must know that Zhao Miun's voice is not low. When her voice came out, many people around heard her words. If others misunderstood her, they would think that she was jealous of Jiashu. Who is shameless? Zhao Miun, what you said is wrong. Although Zhang Xiaoxiao can be friends with whomever he wants to be friends with, I just feel confused. Everyone saw it just now. Zhang Xiaoxiao and Jiashu seemed to like each other. I didn't know each other, but suddenly it appeared that the two families had an older generation friendship. I am afraid that Zhang Xiaoxiao will be deceived, so this is also an act of courage. What if Jiashu is not the person Zhang Xiaoxiao is looking for? Zhang Xiaoxiao himself said that they didn't know each other before. If they recognized the wrong person, wouldn't that make the aunt's efforts in vain? The righteousness is so awe-inspiring that one cannot say anything else. Zhao Miun chuckled. Okay, Fang Ran, don't sound so righteous. Who doesn't know who you are? You're all at this age. Don't treat everyone else as a fool. Zhang Xiaoxiao, look, I'm doing it for your own good. She said this because she thinks I have ulterior motives. I'm really doing it for your own good. If you don't believe me, tell me what are the names of Jiashu's parents and where do they live? Jiashu, tell Lu Ji quietly, I will save you all from thinking that I am not a good person and am making trouble. I don't have to investigate the household registration, but I really do it for your own good. Still clinging to this, wanting to figure it out clearly. In fact, Fang Gran is very smart and really grasps the key points. If Zhang Xiaoxiao was in his previous life, he really didn't know the names of Jiashu's parents, their home address, or even the situation at home. It was exposed by others. Fang Gran's way of trying to clear his name was right, but the person he met was wrong. It's a pity that Zhang Xiaoxiao lived 2 lifetimes. Who gives us the advantage? Zhang Xiaoxiao smiled confidently. Jiashu opened her mouth in panic and wanted to explain. Everyone around was watching the scene quietly. Many people just go to the theater. Please collect, comment, and recommend. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lucky Bag is Reborn with Space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 79. Chapter 79. It's cold. Stop talking. I knew from the beginning that Zhang Xiaoxiao admitted the wrong person. I saw that she was so good to me, so I pretended not to notice. It was me who wanted to take advantage of it. It's my fault. Don't embarrass Zhang Xiaoxiao. She recognized the wrong person. Jiashu bit her to death and put all the blame on herself. She couldn't let Zhang Xiaoxiao be embarrassed in front of so many people. After all, Zhang Xiaoxiao is doing it for her own good. Fang Gran looked disdainful. Don't think that you believe it just because you say this. Look, did I make a mistake? Jiashu just doesn't know Zhang Xiaoxiao, which means Zhang Xiaoxiao recognized the wrong person. Zhang Xiaoxiao, you have to keep your eyes open. This kind of person doesn't deserve you to be so nice to her. They are treating you like a fool. Fang Gran was so proud that he looked at her and said there must be something wrong. Others also looked at each other. Is it possible that such a thing really exists? It is true that some people pretend to be other people's friends in order to take advantage. But this matter seems a bit mysterious and no one can explain it clearly. There is always something wrong with this misty sky, but no one can tell where it is. However, more people looked at Jiashu with a somewhat unkind look. That look was a look of disdain and contempt. After all, everyone was ashamed of Jia Shu's behavior. Zhang Xiaoxiao stood up abruptly. Fang Gran, have you had enough? I have been holding back my temper just now. I just feel that this matter is not a big deal. Just make it clear to everyone. In the end, you still insist on going online. It's better now to get things sorted out. To this point, I told you that I know Jia Shu. Jia Shu is the daughter of my mother's friend. Of course I know the situation of their family, although I have never met her, but there are photos of her. My mother has it, otherwise how could I have known her as soon as I got on the train and greeted her so warmly? If you are a stranger, there are so many people along the way, why didn't you see me greeting others? It's not like I'm full of food, so I can show my meticulous care to a stranger. Who do you think I am? And Jia Shu, Aunt didn't tell you this. I told her not to tell you. I originally thought that we would become friends from strangers. Wait until I tell you something like this later to build a true friendship. And I also want to see what kind of person you are. Who knew that this misunderstanding would arise instead, but now it's better. Let everyone misunderstand you. Zhang Xiaoxiao looked at Jia Shu and was so anxious that she almost shed tears. This Jia Shu is like this, her temper is still so weak. Aren't you curious about who Jia Shu's parents are? Well, let me tell you now. Jia Shu's mother's name is He Wan Jiayun, and her father's name is Jia Zishan. There are 5 children in the family. Jia Shu is the eldest. Their family lives in Steel City in the south of the city. Factory dormitory. If you don't believe it, take a look at her letter of introduction. It can't be a lie. Also, I also know that Jia Shu is a dog. It's October 20th birthday. Now everyone can stop. Fang Gran, originally I thought that everyone was an educated youth. From now on, if you look up and don't see you, you can go there if you can. But to put it bluntly, you are really nosy. If it were left in my grandma's village, those women would chew their wives' tongues and know how to gossip about each other all day long. Whether we are friends or not, what does it have to do with you? Even if I am nice to Jia Shu, it is because I want to be nice to her. She deserves me to be nice to her. I am happy and happy. Why don't you see me being nice to you? Isn't it just that I look down on you and think you are not worthy of being my friend? Mind your own business from now on. Zhang Xiaoxiao's words made Fang Gran's face darken. This may be the first time I was pointed at my nose and scolded like this, and the person was very polite and didn't say anything unpleasant. It means having your face thrown directly into the ground and trampled on. Especially the people around who were watching Jia Shu take out the letter of introduction. The letter of introduction was clearly written in black and white, and it was exactly the same as the one in Zhang Xiaoxiao's novel. If the two families don't know each other, how can they know the details and know so clearly? Immediately everyone's views changed again. Have a finger in the pie. Someone cursed. The matter has been characterized as a farce. Fang Gran couldn't sit still, so he covered his face and ran to the toilet. Lu Ji hurriedly followed. Everyone else returns to their seats. Zhang Xiaoxiao sat down next to Jia Shu and stretched. It was really uncomfortable to sit on the big bag on the train floor. Jia Shu looked at Zhang Xiaoxiao with doubts on her face. Do you really know me? But my mother never said that she has a good friend named Zhang. Zhang Xiaoxiao was happy. Okay, you're almost a problem girl, you should take a rest as soon as you have this time. More people will get on the train soon, and we will arrive at the station in the middle of the night, and there will be no time to sleep because of the chaos. Wink your eyes. Sleep with your eyes closed. Jia Shu was speechless. The problem is that she hasn't been told yet whether they know each other or not. After a while, Fang Ran and Lu Ji came back. Zhang Xiaoxiao took the initiative and consciously wanted to go back and take the big bag. Jia Shu refused to give in. Here I go, I've been sitting there for a long time, it's time for us to change. We can't let you sit on that big bag all the time. It's not easy. Come on. Come back and take a seat. Jia Shu is not a person who takes advantage and does not know what is good or bad. Zhang Xiaoxiao still wants to give in. Hyeguo stood up and pushed Zhang Xiaoxiao onto his seat. Okay, don't give in. I'll sit in the big bag for a while. You both have seats. I looked at the time and it's almost 5 hours. We're about to get off. We don't have much time. Everyone. It will take a while to get there. Hyeguo sat on the big bag. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't give in either. Brother thank you. Hyeguo smiled shyly. This Zhang Xiaoxiao is really a good girl. Fang Ran snorted again angrily. Not 2 hours later, everyone suddenly felt cold. This was because they had entered the northeastern boundary. Walked for about half an hour. Everyone could no longer hold on, and everyone in the car immediately flipped over. Everyone started to dig through their bags, looking for their own thick clothes to wear. It was really cold and a bit unbearable. The temperature difference was too big. Zhang Xiaoxiao has been ready for a long time. My own large cotton clothes are at hand. The military coat was prepared by my eldest brother, so I pulled it out and put it on, and that was all. Jia Shu and Hyeguo had a bit of a change of attitude. The thickest clothes they wore were just jackets. Among so many cotton-padded jackets and cotton-padded clothes, the clothes of the two of them were a little thin and eye-catching. But there is no other way, the thickest clothes prepared at home are just like this. The two of them were smiling bitterly in their hearts, which didn't explain the problem. The two of them are in the worst family situation. Hyeguo's family background is not bad, but with that stepmother here, no good things can come to him. Even if his stepmother is not here this time, his father is not attentive enough to take care of everything for him. Zhang Xiaoxiao had no support this time. Even if these two were good people in their previous lives, they can't help each other every time. Zhang Xiaoxiao still knows the principle of favor and hatred. End of this chapter. The lucky bag is reborn with space. Author, Floating World. Chapter 80. Chapter 80. No power to fight back. By the time we got to the station, even the air we exhaled was completely white. It's so cold here that people immediately know what winter is. They entered the cold winter even before autumn was over. Fortunately, although it was cold, it didn't snow. When they left the station, there was a big truck specially coming to pick them up from the farm. This big truck is exclusive to the farm. So the educated youths got on the bus one after another, and the bus drove away one after another. Zhang Xiaoxiao has a lot of things, and some of them have actually been secretly received by her into the space. Otherwise, you won't be able to get it. Thanks to Jia Shu and Hyeguo for their help. We finally got in the car. Zhang Xiaoxiao didn't realize it until he got into the truck. It's true that we are enemies on a narrow road. I didn't expect that I and the eldest brother of the Fang family would finally meet each other. Fang Piashong was wearing a woolen coat and sitting arrogantly on top of a suitcase. There were 5 suitcases in a row, which made him stand out at first sight. Quite imposing. It doesn't feel like going to the countryside, it feels more like traveling. Especially with a look of disgust on his face, as if the big truck is garbage. Of course, Zhang Xiaoxiao climbed up, with dust on his face, and the hustle and bustle along the way. His hair was messed up, and his sweat beads were covered in dust, which made him look disgraceful. Fang Piashong looked even more disgusted. How did you? Fang Pei couldn't help but feel angry. This Zhang Xiaoxiao is the one who ruined her own affairs. Otherwise, why would Mr. Fang need to go to the countryside? Huddle these people into this old car. Hate is in his eyes. Zhang Xiaoxiao ignored Fang Piashong at all and went straight to his luggage. They are the last batch. There are many people here, so the treatment is naturally not like the treatment during the land reclamation stage. Moreover, there are many people and it is mixed, so it is very serious to lose things. Zhang Xiaoxiao sat down. As a result, Fang Piashong stretched out his foot and quietly kicked open the package under Zhang Xiao's butt. It is a very childish behavior, but of course it is very harmful. Because Zhang Xiaoxiao came up late, he was right next to the truck. Such a big truck could fall down if not careful. Although it won't hurt your muscles and bones, you will definitely get disgraced. Let alone a dog chewing mud in front of so many people. I don't know how long I will be laughed at from now on. Zhang Xiaoxiao really didn't expect that Fang Piashong would be so naive and then fall into trouble. But fortunately, after eating peaches and grains in space for so many days, my body is really as light as a swallow. Zhang Xiaoxiao, who had quick reflexes, turned over and grabbed the edge of the car with one hand. You say it was a coincidence, the car started to move. Zhang Xiaoxiao was speechless. Are you really going to make a fool of yourself? Then a big hand stretched out and firmly grasped Jiang's small hand. Zhang Xiaoxiao used his strength to leap onto the car. Immediately received applause from everyone. Mainly in the flash of lightning, everyone didn't see Zhang Xiaoxiao's embarrassment, but saw her heroic appearance and she came up without even touching the ground. This is not impressive enough. Many people applauded. Zhang Xiaoxiao stood firm on the ground and looked at the person who rescued him. Hey, I'm an acquaintance. Brother Song, thank you. Song Moding. Song Moding retracted his hand and said, it's okay, you are still good and agile, otherwise I wouldn't be able to save him. The tone of his voice was filled with admiration. A girl was not afraid of danger and did not panic at all. He admired her reaction. If it were him, he would be unscathed because he had been exercising all year round. After all, he had an innate advantage. But Zhang Xiaoxiao is an ordinary person. This alone is enough to make people sincerely admire him. Fang Piashong. Zhang Xiaoxiao is not going to suffer the disadvantage of being dumb. Why is it okay for Fang Piashong to do bad things? I just saw Fang Piashong's proud look in his eyes. It wasn't this who did it? Who else could it be? What are you doing? I don't know you. Fang Piashong sat there lazily, motionless. The car started moving and no one saw it, so Fang Piashong was not afraid of Zhang Xiaoxiao. What can we do to him? What are you doing? Don't you know what you just did? Do you dare to do it as a man? Who made me fall off the car just now? As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes fell on Fang Piashong. What do you mean by that? Could it be that I pushed you down? Haha, that's ridiculous. There are so many people here, so many pairs of eyes who saw me push her down. Fang Piashong was very confident that when he made that move just now, he had taken advantage of a loophole. He only stretched out his foot when he saw no one was paying attention to him. Besides, he really didn't make any big move. It is absolutely impossible for ordinary people to see it. Besides, there was a trap in his words. He did not push Zhang Xiaoxiao. You didn't reach out to push me, but you could stretch your legs. When you kicked me, did you think that I would fall off the car? Would you break my neck? Aren't you doing harm to others? Zhang Xiaoxiao can guess it all. Fang Piashong said so confidently and arrogantly, but he just caught him and didn't push him. This is a word game. What you said is interesting. I didn't do such a thing. We don't know each other. Why should I make you fall? What good will it do me if I throw you to death? Fang Piashong made up his mind if Zhang Xiaoxiao revealed the relationship between the two of them. He had to make Zhang Xiaoxiao disgraced. Thought he cared about this sister. From the bottom of his heart, he didn't think she was his sister. Fang Piashong, don't think I didn't see it. I saw it with my own eyes just now. You stretched out your feet and kicked away the luggage Zhang Xiaoxiao was sitting on, otherwise she wouldn't have fallen. This matter is big or small, he immediately apologized to Zhang Xiaoxiao. Otherwise, I will report your behavior to the superior leader. It's up to you to decide what will happen to you at that time. Song Moding's words made Fang Piashong hold his breath. Song Lao why are you turning your elbows outward? Have you figured out that we belong to the same country? My sister is about to marry your eldest brother. How can you help outsiders? Fang Piashong was furious. This was a complete disgrace to his gentleness. Song Moding looked at Fang Piashong coldly. The expression on his face was meticulous. Okay, okay, okay. I know. Zhang Xiaoxiao, I'm sorry just now. I accidentally kicked your luggage down, causing you to almost fall and almost break your neck. I apologize to you. Please. You, sir, have a lot to forgive me for my unintentional mistakes. Fang Piashong definitely didn't mean what he said. There was a strange tone in his voice, not like an apology at all, but like sarcasm. He was sure that Zhang Xiaoxiao could not do anything to him. Then a moment. Everyone's eyes were dazzled. Fang Piashong got off the bus. Lying on the ground with a mouthful of ashes. Zhang Xiaoxiao clapped his hands and said, Fang Piashong, I'm sorry. I accidentally knocked you out of the car and almost broke your neck. Please forgive me. The corners of his mouth were all smiling, and his smile was domineering. The whole car burst into laughter. This girl's move really relieved them. What kind of magical operation is this? The car stopped and Fang Piashong got into the car, cursing. The neck was not broken, but the waist was twisted. The problem is that he doesn't dare to seek revenge on Zhang Xiaoxiao yet. He used to think that this sister looked weak, but he didn't expect to be so strong. Others don't know, probably because they didn't see clearly at that moment, but he is the person involved. It was someone who had no ability to fight back and was thrown out of the car. The problem is that it's really unreasonable. This is a shrew. What can a child who grows up in such a family look like? Fang Piashong didn't dare to mess with Zhang Xiaoxiao. End of this chapter.